Hey, I'm Johnette Cruz, and welcome to Behind the Filter, a digital show that peels back the layers of social media to reveal the raw and unfiltered lives of people. We're about community, authenticity, vulnerability, transparency, and encouragement. Now stay tuned for today's episode. Welcome to Behind the Filter. This is our very first episode, and I am so excited because we're taking a closer look at people's lives behind social media, behind the grids, behind the photos, behind the videos, and that's what this show is all about. And my first guest, I'm so excited to have you finally here.
I'm excited.
How many years?
Forever.
Ever.
Yeah.
This is Markiss Stone, but people know him more than not your name.
That's
more
right.
so for Instagram.
That's right.
As
Traveling Foodie Guyde.
Traveling Foodie Guyde.
Yeah.
Yes. Who just travels around and eats amazing food everywhere.
Everything, everywhere. That might change my name to Edible Arrangement. I eat everything.
Yeah, we have a couple questions about all that. Will
ready.
and I, Will's our producer here, and so we had a couple questions that we want to ask you about.
I got you.
You know, content creating with food and everything.
It's a whole, everybody sees it online and think it's so easy to just
Yeah.
wave their iPhone around food, and they find out real quick that it's not, it's so much harder than anything.
Well, before we get started into our conversation, I want to say a special thank you to our sponsor for our first episode for Behind the Filter. It is Truly Fragrance Bar. Actually, it's a new place. It just opened up over on the north side of Indianapolis, and we have our lovely scents here where you make your own customized scents. So
you made these?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you which one because my son and I both went for Mother's Day, and we had a little mother-son date, and we made our own fragrances.
Okay.
So,
can I smell it?
Yeah. You spray it or smell?
Oh.
You can. I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to spray this perfume. You don't have me in here smell like you. Let's see.
You'll have to find out which one
This is
which.
definitely a perfume right there. I wear enough cologne to know that this is definitely a perfume.
Okay.
It's light. It's sweet.
Uh-huh.
This is definitely a perfume right here for sure. I can tell right off the bat. I wear a lot of cologne, so I can just tell. Let me see this right here. Absolutely. This is a guy all day long. I can smell the wood and everything. This better not be no perfume right here because this smells like a guy.
Technically, they're all, everybody
Unisex,
else.
Huh?
Yeah, they're all, we are the only country that uses perfume and cologne.
Everyone else is unisex.
Mm-hmm.
This has more wood to it right here. This smells masculine. It just does. Did you make this one?
Yes.
Get out of town.
This is my son's.
Oh man, what? He's a sweet guy. I understand, but he, how old is he?
14.
Okay, so yeah, he hasn't graduated to know enough. But that's super sweet. I can see you wearing.
I'll tell you this.
That.
So you go in and you basically get 3 tries and you get to mix up, different scents to figure out what you like.
Okay.
So I really thought I had it in the bag with mine, right?
Well, let me tell you, this seriously, and this is crazy to say, I would rock this right here because it smells masculine.
Yeah.
It really does. That's just super sweet.
So he got done with his. I'm not a floral person, and so he named this Coral Floral, which was his name, right?
It's very fitting.
And so at first I was like, I hate floral. That smells so gross to me. And then I did mine, and then we mixed it up. They bottle it for you, everything we leave, and then I spray his, and I'm like, I think I like yours better.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with would you have this?
Yes, I mean I've been wearing both. I've kind of been stealing this one.
All right. Well, hey, listen. I want to be the first to tell you on your podcast. If people look at you weird, don't just remember. Traveling. He did say that it was a little masculine.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll let people know. But this is located again on the north side of Indianapolis, and it's really cool. You can sign up for your custom own made fragrance classes. They do couple specials, date nights. You can bring a group there. It's so much fun.
This is dope. I think I'm gonna go ahead and check this out myself. I wonder what I can come up with. That's kind of dope. You say you get 3 tries?
Get 3 tries.
Yeah, I'm known to mess up on the first try. So
I know.
I'm glad.
Well, thanks. We won't spray. It's kind of a small space here. So, all right. So you're not from Indy.
I'm not. I'm actually born and raised on the south side of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Spent the vast majority of my life
there. Is that why you got
there.
the Chicago Bowl?
Hey, you gotta represent.
It?
You gotta represent where you're from. No matter where I go, no matter how big I make it, I gotta represent for my home team. Love Indy. Indy made me Traveling Foodie Guyde, but Chi-Town raised me. So I'm gonna rep Chicago wherever I go to the day I die.
So in Chicago, how was your life growing up? I know you and I have briefly mentioned that it was a little on the harder side.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
A lot of people like meet me in my later years in life, and they see the Markiss or Traveling Foodie Guyde as I am right now, but they don't know. Like, I grew up in one of the roughest neighborhoods in Chicago. And, people listen to me talk and they can tell that I'm educated and I can articulate and I'm pretty smart and intelligent. But when I'm like, hey, I'm from the south side of Chicago, and they're like, where? Usually people lie. They're like, I'm from Chicago. Okay, where? Naperville, Schaumburg, Joliet. They say all these crazy places like, no, I'm from the inner city, like south side. 60637 is my zip code. On my mailing address, it says Chicago, not like Joliet or whatever. But growing up, it was kind of tough. It was the early 80s, and if you know anything about anything, that was where the crack epidemic started. You know what I mean? A lot of drugs, a lot of gangs, a lot of violence, a lot of murder. I grew up around all that, like inside my house home, in my neighborhoods, all that kind of stuff. But I just knew early on that's for some reason I just had it in me. You go to enough funerals at an early age, you just realize like I don't want to end up like that. You hear the stories. This person got shot, this person got murdered. You see the end result of it. I just knew that life was like it had so much more to offer than what I was seeing. So the first chance I got an opportunity, like right my senior year in high school, my cousin was an Army recruiter, and I just knew I had to get out, and that was my way out.
Wow. Yep. When did you, as you were growing up, like when did you realize, like, okay, this is how I'm living or what I'm surrounded by is different?
And that's the thing. I didn't know it was different. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
When you're born into that kind of society.
So
like,
you're thinking this is
this
how
is
life
it,
is.
right? Like there's a lot of people that don't make it out. There's a lot of people like those funerals that I went to. A lot of those people were, between the ages of like 14 and 19 years old. They never got to graduate high school, and so you don't know what you don't know. It's just everything you're surrounded by. You're thinking like this is it. There's no way out, right? You're limited by what you get to live in a fantasy world when you get to watch TV and say, oh, that's how people live out there in LA or New York or blah blah blah. But Chicago is all I got. There is no light at the end of the tunnel when you're constantly surrounded by, negativity and death. And, your parents are struggling. Y'all are on welfare. Your clothes may not fit. Your shoes may not fit. But, they make do with whatever you can. And that's just what you know. You don't know you're poor until you run into somebody that's not poor. Right? Because y'all all in the same boat with each other. So it wasn't until, honestly, that I got out of Chicago when I graduated high school and I went into the military and I started traveling all around. And when you're in the military, people share stories. People like to brag about where they're from and stuff like that. Yeah. And you just realize like, yo, it's not the same everywhere you go. It's like really different. Like, oh, these people grew up in better conditions than I did. I thought everything was the same unless you was rich. I didn't know there was a middle class. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought it was poor people and rich people. You know what I mean? But once you get out of your environment and start exploring a little bit more, surrounding yourself with different kind of people and having those conversations, that's when you start reflecting on your own life. Like, man, it could have been different.
I totally agree with you. I remember I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and so I grew up there until I was 8, 9 years old. My mom had remarried, and so all I knew was like Brooklyn and Queens. My mom remarried. We had to relocate to San Diego, California, in a suburb called Chula Vista. Chula Vista is very close to the border, Tijuana, Mexico. And when I got out there, the first thing I told my mom, I was like, Mom, it is so clean out here. Because that's all I saw. Like, for lack of better words, like, it was like Brooklyn and that's just what you saw, And so I was like, there's grass, there's trees. Like, what is this? And she was like, what do you mean? Like, she looked at me like I was crazy. But I'm like, but I didn't know anything
you don't know
else.
What you don't know.
I mean, I knew that, and I knew Puerto Rico, but other than that, I didn't know that, like, outside of both of those areas, that there was just like clean air and.
And then I ended up going into the career space, and I started like just elevating. Like my success started to become linear. So I started hanging around people that were smarter than me, more educated than me, were able to expose me to new ideas and ways of thinking about business and how money actually works and making it work for you instead of, revolving debt and what assets and liabilities were. And this is some more I kept this linear success. I just kept elevating and surrounding myself with those type of level of people. And so naturally, you become, what they say, number one, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
That's right.
Number two, you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around the most, right? So I heard that phrase early on, so I made it I was very cognitive to make sure that I surrounded myself with people that would elevate me. But then also, I believe in the law of reciprocity too. There was this one guy that I came across that said, it's called the rule of the thirds. So what you want to do is you want to surround yourself with 33% of people who are below you so that you can serve as an inspiration to them and give them opportunities and reasons to rise up.
Yeah.
33% of those people, the other 33% of the people should be better than you because they're going to serve as inspiration and they can help pull you up. And then the other 33% are the people that's around your level to help you stay humble and grounded. So I heard that phrase a long time ago, and it's always stuck with me. I'm always being cognizant of who I'm surrounding myself with, and I'm thinking, is this person going to help elevate me?
Yeah.
Can I help elevate this person? Or is this person somebody that I can stay humble and grounded with?
That's awesome. Have you ever been in a situation as you were, getting into your career and like knowing where obviously you came from a different type of, and when you're growing up, you're in a different area and a different situation, but you've kind of eventually moved into that career that you needed to go to. Have you ever noticed either people noticing like either you got treated differently or did they pick up on anything like that?
Not necessarily. A lot of people from the hood, the ones that actually were alive and made it and extended family and stuff like that, they were actually happy for me because there's not a lot of people that actually make it out the hood. Like I said, when you go through so many funerals and stuff like that, you're just happy for somebody to make it out of the hood. So you give them all the flowers, all the blessings, all the praise. Hey, stay away. I can't tell you how many times my family members, I would go back to Chicago and they would say, all right, we see you, we love you, bye. Go back, right? So I can't tell you how many times that happened. And there's some people, which will remain nameless, that are like, he thinks he's better than us because this and that and the cars and the house and this and that. And it's like, I have an extremely humble bone in every single bone in my body.
What do you do with people like that in those situations?
It's tough because I'm a Cancer, and Cancers are known to be like emotional people, right? So sometimes it really affected me and it got to me, especially when you're coming from a genuine place.
Yeah.
And your heart is pure and the only thing that you're trying to do is your absolute best so you can take care of your family and stuff like that. And for people to like criticize you and think that you're better than them because you've worked hard to accumulate all your success, right?
Right.
It hits a little bit different because you're like, you don't get it. Maybe if we communicated more, which is probably my fault, I didn't communicate enough with you and stuff like that, that you would see that, man, I do what I do because I love the hustle, I love the grind, I love the benefits and the fruits of my labor. And, that's what this world teaches us. You get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
And growing up in Chicago, one thing I know how to do, I was surrounded by a bunch of hustlers. People
That's true.
That's what they do. They hustle. So even though I hustle like the legal way, you know what I mean?
Not the illegal way.
Not the illegal way. I just applied those same principles to the legal route, and you can still get those great benefits from it too.
Yeah. When did you make your way here to Indy?
Oh, man, this was October of 2017. I moved here to Indy. I ended up getting a promotion in my career, and it was a chance for me to make a great lateral movement to become a general manager of a store. And it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. I never saw it coming. I thought that I would literally retire. And I was doing great in Illinois. I thought I would retire from there, but another opportunity presented itself. And there were some roller coasters. When I got here, I thought people from Indy were weird. I'm just being honest with you.
Let me tell you.
I had a few betrayals. I had a few people use me for, promotional opportunities at their other places. I had some fake relationships that I thought were like true, genuine friendships. It was just very weird for me to begin with. So I stayed.
I'm glad to hear you're not because I had the same situation. Like when I first moved out here, I can't, we're both come from very diverse backgrounds. I literally called my mom and I was like, Mom, there's nothing but white people in cornfields out here. I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
Like
I wanted to go back. I
said the same thing. I was like, I gotta go. Like, I don't know what am I doing? And she was like, well, give it a few months. So there was a couple times where I wanted to leave, and then it slowly started to grow.
I just stayed to for the first X amount of years, I can't remember, but the majority of it, I've only been here 7 years, but I just stayed to myself.
Only been here, that's right.
Yeah. 17, yeah. I just stayed to myself. I'm like, all I'm gonna do is just work hard and grind and just stay to myself. Like which is hard for somebody like me because I'm a big extrovert.
You're a big people person.
I'm a lover of all people. I can hold a conversation with anybody. It doesn't matter your race, your ethnicity, your background, LGBTQ, senior citizen, World War II, Vietnam vet, little kid. It don't matter who you are. Like, I'm a lover of all people. So when you're a big extrovert like me and you've been kind of done wrong, for me to crawl up in a shell is like just different because I just love everybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So. Is that why you started? Because I know COVID hit, and then you started to do like your own show.
Yeah. So you talking about my Daily Dose show?
Yes, the Daily Dose. I remember those.
Yeah. So the crazy thing, I was inspired to do the Daily Dose show, by the way. So for those of you that don't know, I used to actually, you can look for it on YouTube right now if you check it out. It's called the Daily Dose Show. I went to
making a comeback now, I think.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, some people still be commenting on my foodie stuff like, I've been riding with you since the Daily Dose show, bring it back, right? So I was inspired to do the Daily Dose show. I had went to a conference and Dr. Eric Thomas, #1 motivational speaker in the world. I've always looked up to him, admired him. He inspired me to go back to what I love. So this was during a time where I was literally auditing my life, and I'm like, what do I really love? Like, after you achieve X amount of levels of success in your life, I'm always looking for the next thing, the next challenge, the next blah, blah, blah. And I just asked myself, I said, what do you love? And I was like, man, I went to high school and college for radio TV. I'm in this other career that I've been in for X amount of years, over a decade. And it's cool. I make good money at it. But do I really love it? Is it what I'm passionate about? Is when I wake up in the morning, does my heart skip a beat? And I had to be honest with myself, and I said, no, this is a great career, 401k, good pay, all this kind of stuff, but it's not fulfilling me. It's not like a burning desire. And I said, radio TV is something I have a burning desire for. Mm-hmm. So this was around the time I went to that conference, and I just literally was sitting there, and I was just like, I had a colleague sit next to me. He said, what are you thinking about? And I said, I'm about to start a morning show. And he was like, nuh-uh. And I was like, nah, for real. And he's like, what's it going to be? I was like, I don't know, but it's going to be dope. And so... And I wanted it to be something that was true to myself, authentic, because I've been in a business setting, and truth of the matter is, like, sometimes I feel like that kind of holds me back from my, 100% genuine, authentic personality, because I have to be politically correct in some cases, in corporate setting, blah, blah, blah. When deep down inside, I'm a big old kid, right? So I'm like, you know what if I blended the two? What if I blended my talents, things that I'm great at, sales, marketing, advertising. What if I put my personality with the professionalism, mix them together, so that way I'm not only educating people, but I'm entertaining people at the same time, and I'm doing what I love because it's radio TV. So I came up with the Daily Dose show. It was an immediate hit. I had people tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. It was about positivity, inspiration, motivation, education. I wanted to be the reason that people woke up at 6:30 and had a reason to smile to attack their day. And it was great. I absolutely loved it. I loved it to death. And sometimes I still wish I had it, but hey, everything in life happens for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Because look at me now.
I know. Look at you now. Yeah. So now, obviously, you've had this, story from starting in Chicago and then moving your way to Indy and then kind of slowly trying to tread up to where you evolved now. But I know you and I have had some talks, and we've both had our struggles personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did some of those situations affect you, in terms of you just entire perspective of life when it comes to work and family and realizing who am I and all of those things? And I know that all of that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you, and even still to this day, self-identity and emotional intelligence is so important. Recently, not long ago, I would say within the last 6 months, I went to a leadership seminar, and we got to the segment on emotional intelligence. And crazy enough, this isn't a brag or anything, but I had one of the highest emotional intelligence levels of the class.
Okay.
But I was so surprised that people, literally, it's a true story. There were so many people that could not express how they were feeling in any given moment.
Are you serious?
I was shocked. We had this exercise.
Wait, what do you mean?
I'm going to break it down. It was 20 of us.
This is mind-boggling to me because I don't understand it.
It was 20 of us in this class, and the instructor gave us this assignment, and it was very simple. They said, I want you to write down 3 things to describe how you're feeling in this moment. For me, it took me all of 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like literally, I was boom, boom, boom. And I'm done. I put my pencil down. I whip out my iPhone. I'm checking some emails or whatever the case may be. And I'm looking around and I'm literally looking at people struggling to come up with words to describe how they're feeling in that moment.
That's
and this
crazy.
is like non-judgmental, but it just put things into perspective that emotional intelligence is a real thing. We did these exercises, and what I found out is what comes easy to some doesn't always come easy to others, right? So sometimes, because I have so many different walks of life, I even still experience moments of who am I with self-identification, because let me tell you, number one, you got Southside Chicago Markiss. I can hang and bang with the rest of them, right? After that, I went into the military. I traveled all over the United States in the military, and I even went to war, right? So you got that. After the military, I went to college. So we have educated Markiss, and then I went into a business setting. I have
all of these,
right?
And
I've attained a great level of success, multiple promotions, running a business and organization, and now I'm on the verge of entrepreneurship. So, you know, I don't think that I fit into a box because I have so many different walks of life. So in one moment, you may hear me articulate words, you know, that sounds very professional. You listen to my voiceovers on Instagram, it's going to be like, yo, I hit this spot that's banging. My big back community going to love these people, right? And so it doesn't mean that, like, Markiss is trying to be all these other people. It's just like Markiss is basically a chameleon and a just big mixture of a whole lot of things that
we're
this
so
is what
much
you get.
alike. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
When I went back into TV last year, you know, I had a stint for a good 6 or 8 months, and I actually had people, because they didn't recognize, you know, I was in TV 10 years ago.
Right.
And I went back on TV, and I actually had people message me and be like, I did not know you could talk like that. And I'm like, do I take that as a compliment, or is that a dig? I'm sorry, you don't think I can be professional?
And that's it. But at the same time,
because I'm Latina, like, I don't understand. Like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, and that's the thing. People try to put you into this box, and if you let them, you're really going to have those issues. And honestly, like, I go back and I look at some of the interviews that I did, and I listen to some of the podcasts that I did, and I'm like, which Markiss is that? But that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I don't want to be in a room full of millionaires, like, talking like I'm from the South Side of Chicago. You know what I mean? Now, there may be some elements that'll come out, which is completely fine.
But you have to adapt to your situation a little bit.
Yeah, but then comes the conversation of at what level or what degree. You know, because some people are like, oh, you think because you're in a room full of millionaires, you can't talk like you from, don't forget where you came from, kind of deal, right? But it's like you have certain conversations, you have certain vernacular with certain people. It doesn't change the integrity of who you are.
100%.
And I've never been a type that necessarily wants to fit in with somebody, because that's just, and that's what I teach my daughter as well. I taught her at a very young age to never worry about fitting in, always worry about standing out. Your vibe will attract your tribe. Don't ever try to conform for the sake of fitting in with other people, right? So I practice what I preach. But at the same time, if you're trying to hold a conversation that could elevate you further, the reception of that by the person you're having that conversation with, that can either be like pass or fail. This person that could be like a gateway to help you get to the next level of your life could just be turned off by your vernacular, and that just prevented you from achieving something great just because you got something to prove because you're from a certain place. Like, you know, they say act your age, I say act your wage.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
I like that. Act your wage. I'm going to have to say that to myself every day. So I can act, you know, with lots of zeros.
Yeah,
behind it.
Exactly. That's what I'm headed for. That's what I'm headed for.
All right, so you learned a little bit of that people struggle with emotional intelligence. It's so funny that you said that, because I'm like, maybe that's why I had such a hard time dating, because people lack emotional intelligence.
It's true. You know, where are they spending the majority of their time? You know what I mean? That tells a whole lot. You know, like. I had my we talked about it. We had our little phase, you know what I mean? But it's just, I'm like, nah, man, I'm not about that life. I'm a little bit older now.
You are.
Yeah, it's just the pool out there, the swimming pool out there for men and women. I hear both sides of the story.
It's awful, people.
It's crazy.
I pray for you if you're still single. It's hard. It's a hard life right now.
It's a hard night life. I hear the stories. I see the stories on IG too. Trust me, there's a lot to be said without being said.
Will said something earlier. We were talking the other day. He has a friend that when she gets DMs, last week, I need to start doing this. I want to just try it and like even just like post it. He has a friend that like if a guy DMs her, then she sends him, is it Venmo? Like a $50.
Wow.
She'll be like, send me a $50 Venmo to start the conversation.
All right, how successful is this?
She said it was like about 35-40%.
Bro,
I know.
She'll talk to them for like a couple minutes.
My DMs are loaded right now. You will be getting an invoice from me to have conversations, okay?
I'm about to make me a fake profile. That's another lane of money that I'm about to start.
He was like, you really should do that.
For real.
Like, really?
No, you got to make a fake profile to do though. Because trust me, you're going to run into somebody in the street. Indy only so big.
And then they're going to blast me.
Like, yo, I sent you that 50.
Why'd you talking to me? You owe me 50.
You left me on red for weeks.
Conversation.
That's great. Yo, shout out to that entrepreneur right there. That's thinking it. Get your money, boo-boo. You ain't got to take no clothes off or nothing.
Thinking outside the box.
You just, as she going to run into the wrong person that's in IT, they going to hack her and take all her money. Watch.
Yeah, that's in my back pocket still. There's like a list of DMs. I haven't even opened them yet. Because then I always think about what he just told me a couple weeks ago. And I was like, maybe I should do that and just send it just to see what they say.
It's money to be made out here, clearly. I mean, you literally got a copy and paste message that say, to start this conversation, click this button right here. And people are actually doing it. Wow.
I know.
Man, I'm in the wrong field, man.
Really?
Welcome
right?
to 2024.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
And I can turn on my sexy voice. So I'm like, to start. I'll do a voice memo just to one up. Hey, to start this conversation, go ahead and just drop that cash out. You think it'll work? You think I'll do good? Is that?
You know what that just reminds me of? You know how like in the 90s when like you
had
your
the voice
phone,
mail?
the voicemail?
Oh, you had the music on first?
Oh my God. I had like a banging song, but like
man.
mine was like hype.
Yo, my voice did not get even remotely close to getting deep until I was well into my 20s, man. You see these 16-year-olds with these deep voices, man. That did not happen for me at all. It was way late in life before I even had some baritone in my voice. But I was pretending, though, when I was a kid. You play that Keith Sweat?
Yup, that's right.
Go ahead and leave that number. Leave me a brief voicemail. I can't get to the phone right now.
Oh, my gosh. I think there was at one point I had H-Town on mine.
Oh, man. Don't tell me you're talking about knocking the boots.
Bad.
Lord. That's trouble. Where your mama? I'm calling your mama right now. Did mama know about this?
My mama was like,
your mama's like, you tell him, girl, you tell him.
Yeah, that's exactly what she would be doing. Okay, we had a little bit of a different relationship. It's a little different. I have friends from high school, and we are all the time DMing each other like reels and TikToks of exactly this.
Yo, those were the times.
Doing like the voicemails.
I think we got the best generation ever. Like, real talk.
Literally.
I had this conversation with my brother the other day. I'm like, yo, old people are like, they don't want to embrace technology. Young people, hashtag no disrespect, but some of y'all are the smartest, dumbest people I ever met in my life. Like, our generation, we embrace technology. We got old school in us because we were raised by that. Uh-huh. Like, we the perfect combo. That's my humble opinion.
I agree. That's good.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember that now when people try and tell me I'm too old. So
nah, man. Ain't nothing old but gold. We're seasoned. That's what I like to call myself.
Seasoned.
I'm seasoned.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me how this lovely Traveling Foodie Guyde came about.
Oh,
like,
man.
where on earth did it come from? Because you know what? It was crazy. I remember because we began to be friends on social media.
Yep.
And then I remember you posting a lot of like fitness stuff.
Yep, that was true.
And then like I saw you traveling for a little bit, and then out of nowhere I saw all these things erased, and then like you went and like had food, and I was like, I'm so confused. What are you doing?
Yeah. And
then I just slowly started to see you doing this, and I was like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah. So, man,
where did it come from?
All right, so thankfully, thanks to my career, I had been afforded the opportunity to travel a lot. And I remember one day I said, man, I'm spending a lot of money on material stuff. I got to start spending my money on experiences. So I had told my ex-wife one day, I was like, yo, we about to start traveling. And she like, we was from Chicago, and we just never really traveled like that. Like, traveling to us was like going to Six Flags Great America in Gurney, or going to Wisconsin Dells or something like that. Like, that was traveling to us. And I'm like, yo, we got this opportunity. We always get new iPhones. We always get new cars. Everything always like gets old, and we're replacing it. That's what we spend our money on. I was like, we got to start traveling, like experiences. So we started traveling outside the country and stuff like that, and it was dope. And the crazy thing about it was traveling outside the country is very expensive,
Yeah.
right? So I remember we were in Santorini, Greece, and we were sitting at the edge of a cliff at a very expensive restaurant. And I was trying this crazy food. And this is true to me about food, and a lot of people that have heard this story know. I was the type of person that's going to Paris, like, yo, can I get a steak? Can I get some chicken and stuff like that? Like, I was so...
Did you ask for the A1 sauce too?
Man, let me tell you. Hey, this is no judgment zone, right? All right. So I'm going to all these places, traveling around the world, like asking for normal stuff. And because I was comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So we in Santorini, Greece, and I'm eating some stuff that I still can't pronounce to this day. I have a visual of what it looks like, but it is the most delicate. I'm talking about fine dining, little tiny portions and all that. So that bill came. That bill was $750.
Are you kidding me?
For 3 people. And I said, yo, I didn't have a problem paying it, but I'm like, yo, I just spent $750 for 3 people for these little tiny little caviars and this and that, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I said, yo, there's got to be a way I can get this stuff for free or whatever, right? And so I was like, you know what? With my personality, I bet you that I can create a social media page. And when we go to these countries, I can do like this. Like, I can try food for the first time, record my reaction.
Yeah.
I got a crazy big personality, and I can build a whole bunch of foodie followers that just want to watch me travel to all these places and show cool stuff and nice eats and stuff like that, and have these reaction videos. And then I can reach out to the restaurants and the hotels and the villas and the Airbnbs like, yo, hey, let me stay at your place for free. I promote you. I got a lot of followers, blah, blah, blah. So that's where the idea... I hadn't become Traveling Foodie Guyde yet, but that's where the idea came from. So we got back from that vacation. I went home, and I Googled craziest foods in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just compiled this list. And I was like, yo, I'm just about to start traveling all around, trying to find the craziest foods I can find and just record myself eating it. And just like, that's that. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm starting somewhere and to try to see where it's going to evolve and grow, right? So I said, I'm about to do a food tour. I'm about to go to New York. So I found that a lot of those places were in New York. So I just Googled and Yelped and all this other kind of stuff, places in New York to eat. And
so literally by yourself,
yeah,
on your own?
100% by myself. I created my own itinerary. I still got it in my phone. And I went to New York, and that was my first food tour. And the first place I went to was Lombardi's Pizza. It's the oldest pizza place in America. Mm-hmm. And I literally stood on the curb by the middle of the street, and I took my iPhone, selfie style, raised it up in the air, and I said, here goes nothing. And I hit record, and Traveling Foodie Guyde was made right then and there. So I started doing these food tours. I went to New York, then I went to Chicago, then I went to Louisville, then I went to Columbus, and I just was traveling to all these places trying to find the craziest things that I can find.
So were you just doing this like on your own time, or were you doing it like kind of with work? Like,
no,
I'm gonna be here for
whenever
work.
my like literally my off day was Thursday, like Wednesday, like I wake up early Thursday morning, 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and drive to Chicago or drive to Louisville or drive to Columbus. And I would create these itineraries of all these places I wanted to go, and I would just go, and I would just try all these foods and take selfies with them and record my reaction and stuff like that. I would rate the food, which I don't do anymore, but that's how I did, and I was doing all stories. So then one of my employees actually told me, they're like, yo, like you picking up some traction, but what you should really start doing is Reels. And that's when Reels...
That's when they just started.
That's when Instagram was really pushing Reels, right? And so I was like, no, I don't want to do no Reels. You got to edit. You got to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. It takes too much time. I just want to do everything selfie style and just, blah, blah, blah. And straight up, she was like, you need to listen to me. You need to do Reels. Just trust me.
You better be thinking of her.
Right. And I do. I actually was talking to her today. True story. She's a videographer, and she's going to be helping me with a new video. So...
Awesome.
So I went to Garden Table. A colleague ended up hurting himself. And I couldn't travel as much because I was taking over some of his job and stuff like that. I just couldn't travel as much.
Okay.
So I said, yo, I'm starting to pick up some steam. I got to keep content rolling. I can't travel. So, let me look around Indy. Let me see. I got to keep content rolling because I never thought Indy. And my name still wasn't even Traveling Foodie Guyde yet. I had deleted all my old workout stuff and stuff like that. So I went to have brunch at the Garden Table downtown on Mass Ave, and I'm looking like a straight up creep. I got the camera like this, like I'm trying to record the scenery and the food, and like when I'm eating, I'm trying to get real close like this. Like you go back and you look at that first video, it is so funny and embarrassing. So I'm sitting in the car at like Target or something. I'm like, okay, let me edit this stupid thing. So I'm editing the video. Like people looking at me weird. Like even my ex-wife, she was looking at me, what are you doing? Like I'm sneaking with the phone, trying to record myself eating food. What are you doing? I'm like, just trust me, I got this idea in my head. It looks dope in my head. Like I'm just trying to recreate it, right? So I'm editing this video and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, what does this video need? I'm like, it needs some music. So I grab some music and I'm like, what is it missing? I'm like, it needs my voiceover. So I was just like freestyled it right then and there. I was like, yo, have you ever been at the garden table down on Mass Ave? It was my first time. It was blah, blah, blah. So I just freestyled it right then and there. And I just hit upload just like that. Me and my daughter, we go back home. She whooping me a Mario Kart. I ain't paying attention to nothing. I open that phone up like an hour and a half later, and I get all these views and these comments. And I'm like, yo, I ain't never got that many views and comments. So I was like, yo, it looks like I'm doing reels now, right? So I switched my whole format up. I was only doing stories, and then I just switched on over to reels, and I just kept going from place to place. And I used that garden table video like, hey, can I make this video for your restaurant?
Awesome.
And they're like, yeah. I still was paying for my food. And so they were like, yeah. I was like, can I just sit in the corner and like, I got this idea in my head. Like at the time, like 2.5 years ago, and Indy's still behind, but so imagine that, right? People looking at me weird. And I'm like, man, I got this idea in my head. Like,
just let me do it.
Just let me do my thing, right? And so I kept going to these restaurants like, hey, can I make a video like this for y'all to promote y'all? Can I make a video like, and I only had like 2,000 followers at the time, 2,500, 3,000 max. And so finally, I go to this one restaurant. It's mornings, breakfast, and brunch on 86th Street.
Okay.
And I asked for the manager, and they bring out this lady named Laura. And I said, hey, can I make a video like this? She went back. I guess she talked to her husband, who was co-owner. And they're like, yeah, we want to bring you out a whole bunch of food. And I'm like, what? Like, because at first it was still just like, hey, at first I was paying for all the food.
Yeah.
And I go to another restaurant, I pay for the food. And then it was like, okay, I'll give you a discount. And then I'll give you a discount. And then when I went to them, they're like, yo, we're going to give you a whole bunch of stuff. If you're going to show it, we want you to show everything we got. And that was the first time that I was like, yo, they gave me a whole bunch of food, and I can take this too? Like, can I take this to go? Right? And so then I did that, and then so I graduated from me paying for my own food to me getting discounts on food to me getting food comped, free food, and then finally one place was like, yo, yeah, that's cool. How much you charge for that? And it took everything in my power to keep a straight face, right? I was just like, I can get paid to do this? Like, that was never a part of the plan. It wasn't
Really?
like, it was never a part of the plan because my thing is like, yo, when you travel outside of the country, these villas and these hotels and these restaurants, they just rack up. And I'm like, at the time, I'm just like, I just want it for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had never thought about like monetizing it, right? And then so from that point, like I said, a dollar amount. And then from that point, that's what it was. I would go to the next place and I was like, yo, I can do this for X amount of dollars. And they're like, yeah. And then so, I just kept monetizing, kept growing, getting bigger, more followers, more engagement, more opportunities. People started reaching out to me. I'm like, yo, they reaching out to me now. And it just grew into this crazy thing that's still like a blur to me to this day. Like how fast everything happened is still, and I'm an impatient person. Like I'm super impatient, but how fast everything happened is still like mind-boggling to me. And I'm the type of person, like I can't say I'm never satisfied, but like once I achieve something, I'm like, what's next?
What's next? Yeah, what's next on the list?
Like, boom, if I can get to 10,000 followers, I can get to 25. If I can get to 25, I can get to 50. If I can get to 50, I can get to 100. If I can get to 100, I can get to 500,000. If I can get to 500,000, I can get to 1 million. So that's the way my brain thinks is take a brief moment to celebrate your accomplishments, exhale, now get back to work to the next level. Like that's the way my brain thinks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you started doing this and you had like this crazy little thing in your head, like what were the people that were surrounding you, like your family and your close friends, like what did they think about this when you thought, you know what, I think I have something here?
I kept it to myself. I really did. I kept it all to myself. I was just like, because here's the truth of the matter. One thing that I learned is that you would think that the people closest to you are going to be your biggest supporters. Yes, I could tell exactly by the response.
Dude,
you would think that they would be the biggest supporters.
They are not.
But they're
opposite.
Not. They're really not. And I'm gonna be honest, like sometimes it kind of hurt me a little bit. I'm like, how do these strangers that don't know me from Adam on the street
will support you 150%?
They showing me so much love. They throwing money at me. They engaging with me like high quality crazy. And so I really kept it to myself. I kept it all to myself. The only thing I cared about was creating content because for me, It was all about building my resume up.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then I'm also practicing at the same time. So the more effort I put into this, the better I get. It's like an NBA player shooting free throws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Steph Curry. I don't know if you know about his practice regimen, but before every single game or after every single game, he starts off right there at the rim. And he'll make 5 perfect shots about 3 feet away from the rim. Then once he gets 5 perfect shots, he moves back to about half of the distance of the free throw line.
Okay.
And when he makes 5 perfect shots of that, he moves back to the free throw line. And then he makes 5 perfect shots, and then he moves to the. And so for me, that's what it's about. Is every time that I create content, I'm practicing to perfect my craft.
Okay.
I always have to elevate. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. I'm my biggest criticizer. I mean, let me tell you, I will put an hour and a half into 22 seconds in a restaurant video, and I'll post it, and I'm like, that could have been better. Like, seriously, sometimes I'll go in there and I'll freestyle a voiceover, and I'm like, that's dope. And sometimes I'll do a voiceover 17 times because I'm like, it's not good enough, it's not good enough, it's not good enough. Even just this morning, the voiceover that I did this morning, I killed it the first. So I write a script for every single restaurant that I do. And the first one, I nailed it. There was no there's no pauses. To the average person, it would have been perfect. I didn't mess up one time. I listened to it, and I was like, nah, you can come harder than that. and that's what I did. I did it over and over. Like, I don't know. I can't describe it. Would you say that I'm kind of like a perfectionist? Kind of, but it's like you can never achieve perfection, so what am I chasing?
Yeah.
I got the mindset that I'll never be perfect, but it's very fun chasing it, and I'm very happy with the results that I get chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
well, and I think also, like, just being in this industry and also being a creative, like, you always have, like, this thing, like, you'll know when you see it or when you hear it, like, that's it. Mm-hmm. Because that's what happens to me when I start to create and I do stuff. Like, same thing, I'll work on something and it's only like for 20 seconds.
Exactly.
But I'm like 2 hours in it and I'm just like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like the music. I'm kind of going all there. And then you'll finally know.
Yeah.
Like, once it's the right thing.
Well, sometimes I'm just like, all right, man, I've been working on this way too long for like 22 seconds. Like, man, I'm an hour and 45 minutes into something but that's what it takes. And that's the reason why I stand out amongst the foodie community, because I put such a high level of energy and passion and commitment into what I do that people can actually see that. They're like, okay, his content stands out, and I can tell that he really cared about his camera angles. He really cared about his lighting.
Which, by the way, is an iPhone.
Yeah, I shoot everything on my phone.
You shoot everything on your phone.
Yeah, and people find that very hard to believe. I mean, even business owners, when I go into the place, they think I'm coming with a camera crew. They think I'm coming with all this equipment and all these Sony A6s and all that. And here I am with just my iPhone. Like, and they're like, you need to go back out to the car or something? Like, you need help carrying it in? I'm like,
I got this. That's
I'm
it.
like, just trust me and trust my process. And that all stems from, in the past, like, I'm a published model photographer, so I understand lighting, I understand aperture, I understand ISO, shutter speed. Once you understand all that and you know how to actually, you know what those numbers mean on your phone when you're changing your f-stop from a 2.8 to a 16 and changing your exposure compensation from, positive to negative to change your contrast ratio. Like, a lot of people don't know what that stuff means. They just open up their camera and hit record and they're like, oh, I'm going to do it in cinematic mode because it blurs the background out. But it's like, you don't understand refresh rate and how social media can compress that and make it look weird. You know what I mean? So me understanding all that is the reason that I can, and I don't even do color grading on my stuff too. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, if you understand all that, you can make it look really good. Like it was shot on like a Sony or a Canon or a Nikon or something like that.
Okay, so we got a question for you.
Go ahead, shoot.
What has happened, because this has to happen to you before because you've just been at so many places. Well, what happens in your line of business when you go to a place and like maybe you don't have the best experience?
Oh my gosh.
And it's actually it's like what you do, but you're like, oh no.
So here's the truth of the matter. And just so you know, this is a Traveling Foodie Guyde exclusive. You're the only person.
Give it to me.
You're the only person that's getting this story.
All right, let's go. Today's episode is sponsored by Truly Fragrance Bar, located on the north side of Indianapolis, where you can go in and make your very own customized fragrance. I specifically have these 2 fragrances at home that I absolutely love, and my son and I were able to make 2 separately different types of scents. We went in, had an amazing time, and a great bonding time together, just being able to kind of put different types of smells together. We sat in a class. They taught us from start to finish. how to exactly make your own fragrance. You can go in there for a date night, for group events, for corporate events. There's so many opportunities for you to go down there and make your own customized fragrance and scent. So if you want more details and to book your class, just go to trulyfragrance.net.
This restaurant will remain nameless. I will say that.
Okay.
But I will tell you the situation. And the reason being, let me tell you, I struggle with this because I honestly wanted to blast them. But, the way my integrity set up, I'm like...
that's happened to me too.
And that's the whole thing. Like,
so hard.
At the end of the day, I got to stick to my personal core values. Like,
Yes.
I am here to help establishments grow. I know with the amount of followers that I have, if I say something bad, I can hurt a business, right?
You could break them.
People will be like, yo, we riding with Traveling Foodie Guyde. He say don't go there, we ain't going there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I go to this place that is arranged by another place. And again, I'm not going to say the name of the place. I'm just going to talk about the situation. Yeah. So there are farmers who supply the meat and the proteins for a lot of the restaurants that we eat at around here. Mm-hmm. So these farmers believe in me, they support me, and they wanted me to promote their protein in this certain restaurant. So I go to this restaurant, and I'm in business attire. That's very important to understand. And you know me personally. I'm a big social butterfly. Yes. I smile all the time. There's not a negative bone in my body. So I go to this place. I got lighting equipment in my hand. I got a book bag on my back. I got the camera stabilizer, all that. And so I walk in, and I'm like, yeah, I had an appointment to come create content for you guys today. And this lady comes up, and she's looking at me like very weird. And I'm like, yeah, I had orchestrated it with this person, And they're just looking at me very weird. And I said, you know what? I'm starting to feel a vibe. And I'm like, let me just call this person. So I call like, hey, I'm here at the place, at the appointment. I'm on time, blah, blah, blah. But they're looking at me kind of weird, like they weren't expecting me. And so they're like, well, maybe you need to talk to the owner. He's over there. So I'm waiting to talk to the owner. And the lady is just like looking really weird. And I'm like, all right, this is awkward. Hey, I'm Markiss. I'm Traveling Foodie Guyde. And the lady goes, I know who you are. And I'm thinking in my head, like, if you know who I am, then why am I getting, like, this sort of vibe and treatment if you know who I am, right?
Right.
So anyway, I talked to the husband. He ended up being cool. He's the owner of the restaurant. And he's like, yeah, we'll get you set up right over here. I'll order a few things or what. I'm sorry. No, I got to back up because it's a very important part. So I go sit up by the window and everything, and it takes forever for the server to come up to me. Now, I used to work in the restaurant industry back in the day, so I know all the protocol, I know all the steps, I know what you're supposed to do.
Well, and if you're creating content, like the last thing you want to do is wait, have the person wait.
And it's over 100,000 people in Indiana that know who I am. Exactly. They know what I look like. They come up to me to take selfies all the time. But anyway, this server takes forever to come up to me, right? And here's the truth of the matter. He comes up to me, and the first thing he says is, are you going to drink anything besides water? And he says it in such a way that's like not demeaning, but not pleasant. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, no, I only drink water. That's all I drink everywhere I go. Everybody will tell you that. And so he proceeds to walk away, and because it had been so long, I'm like, hey, before you go away, like I know what I want to order.
Yeah.
Like, you want to grab this? So he takes the order, right? And so, and this is very important, I say, hey, when you do this, when you ring this up, do me a favor, ring something up for a penny so I can give you a nice tip, because I like to tip the servers and stuff like that. That's very important to note, because I'm going to come back to that. Mm-hmm. So food comes out, I do my thing, I'm creating my content, blah, 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 this and that, everything's good to go. So I'm done, and that server never came back over to me at all whatsoever to check on me, not one single time. So I'm feeling all kind of bad vibes. From the moment I got in, speaking to the lady, I'm like, are you the general manager? I think she was the general manager. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a good vibe from her. I didn't get a good vibe from the server. I'm like, and then you know what? I ended up looking at my Instagram DM, and I'm like, I reached out to these people and they left me on red. So I'm like, maybe they never saw the value in me. So now that I'm here, that maybe they thought I backdoored them or something like that to be able to create content here. So maybe that's why they treat me like this. So this was the straw that broke the camel back. After I'm like, I'm not feeling none of this. Like, I'm not feeling none of this. I'm not feeling a server. I'm not feeling none of it. Yeah. Like, I'm just not getting a good vibe. Like, they don't even want me here. And so I give the dude a mediocre tip. I think I gave him like $10 or something like that.
Was the food even good?
The food was very good, honestly. The food was very good, which is the sad part. That's why I'm not saying anything. Food was really good. But the level of customer service was absolutely terrible. So I'm sitting there waiting to say goodbye to the owner. I got a heavy book bag on my back because I got a laptop, an iPad, some stabilizer stuff, my lights, and I'm holding, lights, and I'm just standing there, and they're talking to a guest. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll give him a brief second to finish up with the guests, and I'll say.
Yeah.
So I ended up standing there literally, and I'm watching the general manager and the owner talk to this guest, and they know that all I'm trying to do is just like say goodbye, peace out, so I can leave.
Yeah.
But they're just continuing this long conversation with this guest, and I'm like, yo, all I want to do is say goodbye. I'm standing like maybe 10 feet away from you to give you your respect. But they knew that I'm standing there and I got this heavy backpack and holding all these lights and all this stuff. And so I said, you know what? Hey, guys, I just interrupt. Hey, guys, thank you for everything. It was great. Y'all have a good night. I went in my car and I was just debating right there. I said, yo, this is going to be a major conflict of interest if I post this reel, because it's going to be very hard for me to say, like, hey, like recommend this place like Traveling Foodie Guyde style.
Right.
I'm like, I won't feel right. And I don't want to be non-authentic, right? I don't want to be telling people, yo, go to this place, you're going to have the best experience ever, when I just got treated like that.
Right.
So I call the people and I'm like, yo, I'm sorry. Like, I'm feeling very conflicted right now. I just had the worst experience that I've ever had as a creator, as a patron.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so conflicted. I'm like, yo, send me your Venmo or whatever. I'll give you your money back for this job. I just don't feel confident. He's like, no, what happened? So I told him what happened, everything. Like, don't worry about it, blah, 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 blah. So this is what happens. I want to say about a month later, Black Indy Live made a post about me because I had just hit 100,000 followers. And they're blowing me up, like Traveling Foodie Guyde, you know, he came in and he did the thing. He has the Keith Lee effect. You know, when I say go to a place, people be selling out, stuff like that. It's real cool, right? And I read some of the comments, and somebody said that I was like a bad tipper. And like, that's something I've never been, because number one, I used to work in the restaurant industry.
Are you kidding?
And yeah, like this one person was like, oh, he came to our job and got the food for free and didn't post a video and was a bad tipper. And it's taking everything, like, I'm like, yo, if you want, I can tell the public the real truth.
How awful you were.
And blast y'all or whatever.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm trying to go in and respond to every comment positively, blah, blah, blah. And then I come across this other like comment that was like, how come you don't tip good? And just me being me, I'm like, if I don't tip good, it's because you probably gave me a horrible level of service. I wasn't even connecting the dots between that, right? I just thought it was a regular question, like, under what circumstance would you not tip good?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, if I got a bad level of service. And then it hit me. I'm like, yo, these people work at that restaurant. And so I DM the person, and I'm like, yo, I don't know if you got all the information or you got some bad information, but if you want to talk, like, I'll tell you the real deal, because you clearly weren't there and you're probably just going off of what your employees said or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So they DM me, and it's just the energy was so negative and toxic. I learned from Jay-Z. A wise man once told me, don't never argue with fools, because people from a distance don't know who's who. Mm-hmm. So I refuse to argue with fools. I can just tell the toxic energy that was coming my way. I was like, it ain't no matter what I say to this person, they going to ride with their employer no matter what. They're not going to be open to hearing like what the actual truth was. Mm-hmm. So I just deaded it, but that was just... It was terrible, because I'm a patron too. Like, I love tipping. Like, people that listen to this podcast, if you've ever been my server, chime in and let people know. Like, I give really good tips because, number one, I can afford to do so. Number two, I understand what you're doing and how hard it is to do what you're doing. And I want to reward you for that. Even if I get a mediocre average experience, I'm still going to at least give you 22%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But man, I've tipped 100% before. I've tipped 200% before, because, you know, if you wow me, you gonna be good. Trust me. Traveling Foodie Guyde got you. And plus, I got my reputation. I ain't trying to be known around the town as a bad tipper. You know what I mean? I go to these restaurants, I'm like, nah, I don't want Foodie Guyde. Nah, I heard he don't pay good.
You don't do anything.
Nah, I gotta keep my reputation on point. But I love the people in the restaurant industry. I love giving y'all good tips, and I appreciate y'all.
So on the flip side, though, have you been to a place where the food has been awful? And have you had to have conversations with people?
Yeah, there was this one place I went to, and gosh, it was a pizza place. And I was asking my followers. My followers always slide in my DM, yo, go here, go here, go here. I got a big old list, right? Yeah. So I go to this one place, and I pull up, and the lady that was parked right next to me, she goes, I know who you are. You about to do this place? I'm like, yeah, is the food gas here? She like, it's fire. You're going to love it, right? So shame on you, girl. Shame on you. You lied to me. Shame on you. So I go in there and I'm doing my thing. I'm all in the kitchen with the cooks and blah, blah, blah. And I taste a pizza and I'm like, yo, like, this is not it. Like, I'm being straight up. There's no way. Because my thing is, if I get out there and I tell people something's good and the masses come for me, like, yo, this ain't good.
Yeah.
That's my reputation that we're talking about.
Right. So, like, that's hard.
And it's a difference because, like, I know that all of our taste buds are different. There's going to be some stuff that you like that I don't. There's going to be some stuff that I like that you don't. But people have this perception that I say everything is gas and fire, and that's just not the case. My job is to promote these restaurants, right?
Right.
If the food is good. But I need to be able to confidently tell you that the food is good. Now, there's levels. There's levels to it, right? If I get on there and I say, yo, this place is fire. Okay, I loved it, right? If I get on there and be like, yo, y'all should definitely check this out. Like, okay, it was cool, but it was still good. But if it's to the point where I'm like, I can't even say y'all should go check this out, it's bad. So they was having this war in the comment section when I made a pizza post about like great places in Indy for pizza, and I posted like 6 or 7 places, and this place wasn't on there. So somebody tagged that restaurant, and I said, I just replied mid. That's all I did. And the restaurant got in the comments and they're like, how dare you say this family-owned restaurant for X amount of years and blah, blah, blah is mid. You know, our pizza is not mid. And I'm like, you know, and that's the whole thing. Like, honestly, I'm going to be straight up with you.
Yeah.
Number one, I never should have done that because that's not why Traveling Foodie Guyde exists. I'm not here to demean, demoralize, to tear down, to put any negativity towards somebody. Mama said if you ain't got something nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So,
but at the same time, you're trying to be authentic and you're trying to let people know, like, what are the best spots. So it's like a catch-22, you know?
Almost. So here's the truth of the matter. There's a handful of places. There's about 5 that I have. We attempted to do a collaboration, but the food was not good, so it never made it to my page. So that's what that is.
Okay.
If I don't like it,
you don't do it.
I just don't do it. I'll give you your money back. And so that way here's the catch-22 to that though, right? So if I'm only putting things on my page that I like, if you come to my page for the first time and you scroll, you're going to say, this guy likes everything and he gets paid to do this. So he's paid to say that everything tastes good when that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm paid to create content in a way that's engaging, fun, professional, and authentic to myself. But that's the curse of it. Everything that I do say on my page is good because I like it. Just because I like it and you don't like it doesn't mean that I'm a liar, right? If I go on there and I say some pizza is fire, and you say, man, Traveling Foodie Guyde a liar. I went there, that pizza tastes like dog crap. I'm not a liar. I like it. Just because you don't like it don't make me a liar. You know what I mean? So that's what I kind of run into sometimes. And once I started hitting that like 50,000 follower count when everybody feels free to express how they feel and come at you all crazy and all that kind of stuff, that's when I really started feeling that. And at first, it took me by surprise because I had got nothing but love all the way up until that point. But then I started to get like hate, and I'm like, no, I'm not a liar. Do you know me personally? Like, do you know me personally to be a liar? Like, I've never lied to you. Like, so, but I got my loyal foodie goons. They be sliding my DMs. They be seeing where your boy Cancer about to kick in. They be like, no, foodie. Keep doing you. They just haters. Your loyal foodie goons got you. So, yeah, man, I love my loyal foodie. When they see me on the street, boy, they grab me. I'll be walking through a crowd. They'll grab me. Come take this picture with your foodie goon. I love all of them. They got my back for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I love to hear that because I know just as being like a creator and an influencer, like I know there's people out there that obviously when they create, it doesn't matter the dollar amount, they'll do it.
Right.
Especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
But now, like even with me, there's things that I will be like, no, I cannot do this. I don't like this product.
That's what puts me in a different lane because I've always had like a professional career. So it never was about the money. Remember, from the beginning of our conversation, it was always focusing on doing what makes me happy. I went to high school and college for radio, TV, communication. So if I'm creating content, I'm happy. So I'm doing what makes me happy. I don't need your money. Like, it's cool. I work hard at what I do, and I deserve to be compensated. But your money isn't worth the reputation when people find out, oh, he's lying about all this, and I lose all of my followers. My engagement rate goes down. My reputation is ruined. That money ain't gonna save you, right? So it's not that deep. It's not that important. I'll never sacrifice myself and my integrity for the sake of money. It's not that deep. I don't need the money that bad.
Right.
At the end of the day, I never want to go back to living how I grew up. But I'm from the South Side of Chicago. I know what it's like to not have money. I've lived that life, and I'm not afraid of it. You know, money isn't gonna dictate who I am.
Right. That's good. I love that. So now with what you have, I think a lot of people actually don't know that you do a lot of other things with in terms of content creation and consulting. And
Oh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah. I do user-generated content, so you might see...
A lot of UGC work.
Yeah, you might see some stuff out there that I created that I don't put my face in,
Yeah.
that I'm creating content for other brands and things of that nature. I do a lot of consultations. I do monthly webinars to help people grow their social medias because I got so many DMs. People, how did you do it so fast? How did you do it so quick? And I'm like, man, I just need to put something together where I can create a deeper connection with my followers, another avenue to monetize as well because I'm trying to build really big because I got really big goals that I need money for. I do one-on-one consultations as well, and actually group consultations as well. My resume, I mean, I have beauty salon owners, I have realtors, I have influencers and content creators, people from all business owners, restaurants, employees. Everyone wants to figure out how to build their brand, create their own lane, monetize their social media like I did. And the cool thing about it is, like, I don't hold back. Like, when I was investing in myself and doing all these, like, webinars and seminars and all this stuff to learn, from them how to be great, I invested in myself. And so, people are willing to invest in me too because, man, people charge a lot of money to do this, and I don't. And it's because it's not all about the money. There's a way to monetize your social media if you're dedicated, if you're driven, if you're goal driven, if you really want to grab it. And I think that is cool that people want to see me as the person to help get them there. And I take pride in that because I've always been like what you call a servant leader.
Yeah.
It's not always about me. If I've learned something, I feel like it's my due diligence and my job to give back to people to say, hey, now that I've achieved this, let me remember the rules of the thirds. Like 33% of the people, I got to pull them up with me. So this is my opportunity to help everybody win.
That's awesome. Now, with all that you do, I mean, you're obviously in a new season of life right now.
Yeah, I'm a new dad.
You're a new dad, so you have all of that going on. Like, how are you balancing? Because it's so funny. Because obviously, we were a lot younger when we had our first go around of kids, so it's a lot different at this stage of life,
it is.
right?
The way, man, these knee cracks is something different, boys. It's like a hinge on the door when I'm walking. I'm like, is that a door or is that me?
How are you balancing all of that?
It's all about priorities. If there's one thing I learned from my first marriage is priorities are very important. Setting boundaries, not being on your phone as much. That's very important.
How do you do that with all that you do?
Yeah, so you got to put your phone in another room. That's how you do it. Out of sight, out of mind. So I have what I like to call the Bermuda Triangle. That's what I like to call it.
Okay.
If it's not like career/income based, foodie or family, it's not a priority to me. So I only focus on things that if they're outside of work, foodie, and family, they have to be something to where I'm either learning or growing or getting to the next step, or I'm helping somebody else to do that. So my time is very valuable, is very important. So I don't entertain a lot of things that don't revolve around work, foodie, or family.
Okay.
I may have some conversations in the DMs with you or something like that to see where this could possibly go, whether it's reciprocal, we can help each other, whatever the case may be. But if it's not those things, I just don't entertain it. And when I get home, man, I throw that phone in another room. Unless I'm recording MJ or something like that, like that phone is away, and I'm just really trying to spend that quality time. That's what's important to me. Yeah, quality time. It's my girl's love language too. So, if you read the book, The 5 Love Languages, you got to keep that cup filled, which, it comes in waves. You know what I mean? Sometimes the cup get low, sometimes it's filled up. You know what I mean? But you got to be a pretty good judge of character where that cup at. You know what I mean? So knowing what's important to your significant other and catering to that, like that's really important. So that's it. That's how I balance it. If it's not a priority, it does not fit in my life.
Are we going to get an MJ reveal at any point?
Man, so look, truth of the matter is, if you're lucky enough to see me live, that's the only way you're seeing MJ right now. Like, so I do these random pop-up lives where if I'm just chilling with him, I'll go live real quick for like 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll just delete it. So that's how you gonna see him. Or if people, my foodie goons, they see me in public, I'll show them pictures of
Where did
him
you
on
get
the
this
phone.
foodie? Where did that come from?
Oh, that I coined my foodie goons, man. Let me tell you, I got some loyal followers. They got my back. Like, that's just it. Everybody's like, Beyonce has the Beehive, Nicki Minaj has the Barbs.
Yeah, I got my
foodie goons. These people, like, they really love. Like, I'm telling you, when they treat me something special out here. I don't deserve all the love my followers give me. When I'm at Target, They show me all the love. When I'm at the gas station, they show me all the love. When I'm walking down the street, like these people, yo, foodie. I mean, it don't matter if I'm in the mall. They just show me so much love and they got my back. And how the goon part came is when people be trying to come at me that don't know me in the comment section, yo, my foodie goons attack them. They're like, yo, you don't know Traveling Foodie Guy. Get away from here with all that, right? So those my like I'm not some big tough guy, that's not me. But my followers are. They like, yo, you come at foodie correct or you don't come at all. Like they really got my back. They my goons. My followers like my bodyguards. So they my foodie goons.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I came up with that name. I need to trademark it. Paz shot me a DM the other day. He said, yo, I'm one of the foodie goons. We got to trademark that. I'm like, yeah, show me the way, man. So I am. You probably see some Traveling Foodie Guy merch with foodie goons on it.
Okay.
These my people, man. I love them. I really do.
What do you have any, I guess you can say, maybe words of advice or people that are either trying to kind of create their own avenue in terms of either creating content or like you said, like you had this idea in your brain and you just wanted to go and run with it even though other people might not understand it and you kept it quiet and you kind of ran with it on your own. Like what advice can you give to people that are just starting out or like see that vision as what you're trying to build and grow?
So it's a lot of advice, and I hope, man, maybe y'all need to be taking notes right now or whatever the case may be because I'm really about to give y'all some gems. And some of them may be cliche, and some of them you may just take with a grain of salt. But, success always leaves clues. That's what's very important, right? So number one, there has to be something, like when you get into a lane, you can't just do it just because there's an opportunity for money there. Mm-hmm. Because I'm in an industry that you can make a ton of money, but you'll look up doing it for so long and you'll start asking yourself, am I fulfilled, right? And there's a difference between being paid and happy and fulfilled. Like when things fulfill you, they don't have a monetary value to it, right? Like I would do food, like if I had a great solid career that I was making a lot of money, I would do foodie for free for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I mean, that's not the times we're living in. Like I want this as a career now, you know what I mean? So I have to monetize it and get compensated for it. But if I had a career that was like killing it, I would do it for free, right? Yeah. So, and when I say killing it, like I got big goals. Like I need to be making in the millions. Like that's my goals. But anyway, so number one, find something that you're extremely passionate about. Don't just try to search or get into a lane because there's money there, right? You can be a doctor to make money. You can maybe be a lawyer to make money. There's certain different ways you can make money. But do something that fulfills you, that you can wake up every single day and smile at it. Even when it gets tough, even when it gets hard, even when you got naysayers and haters and all that kind of stuff, your passion for what you are interested in fuels you and keeps you going through those hard times. Yeah. Number two, do not be a copycat. Don't, when you do your research and you see who in your lane, don't just go in there copying people because internet fraud is at an all-time high, and it ain't just hacking bank accounts. Like, I can't tell you how many people just like, oh, Traveling Foodie Guy did it like this, so let me do it. And then when they don't get the results, they're like, you know what I mean? Like, don't copy nobody. When I first got into this, I looked to see what everybody else was doing to see how I can go left. Like, I never did it for the sake of, like, let me fit in with this person, blah, blah, blah. How can I stand out? How can I be unique? How can I be different, right?
I love that.
That's the best part about it because people don't, I mean, how often do you scroll your social media and when things start looking alike, you just get into this habit of just keep scrolling until something stands out. Right? That's what I want it to be. I want it to be the stop scroller because I stand out.
That reminds me of, like, because, I'm in the fitness industry. And, like, all these gym videos started popping up, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, they're all the same. Especially when, like, I'm in prepping and I'm doing bodybuilding shows. Like, all the bikini girls are posting all the same type of freaking workout videos. Yeah. And I'm like, this is awful.
Can we do a sidebar? Speaking of which, I got to talk about it. There's this guy. I can't remember his name for my life, but I've been following him for about a month now, and he's in that fitness space. When I came across this dude's page, I said, I don't want to follow no more fitness people. I found my person because he stands out because he's so different, right? This dude, he's a big black swole dude or whatever, and he curses a whole lot. And I think that's the reason why I like it because he's making fun, but he's giving you education. So, like, you'll see his video, and he'll be on there, and somebody's walking with him with a stabilizer, and he's talking. He's like, yo, the reason you can't use your big fat back is because you stay in the frozen section right here at Kroger, you know what I mean? And you looking at all these BS workouts on Instagram trying to mimic them and copy them, but that's the way he talks. But he does that to get your attention, but then he gives you the value.
He gives you the value in the
Yeah,
content.
instead of doing all these stupid hanging upside down tricks in the gym, focus on these compound movements and blah, blah, blah. And he throws jokes in there about the big back community. He's like, the reason why your stomach look like a pancake hanging down, like he killed, like, and he's in that fitness space, and this dude is like blowing up. Like, I'm gonna share it to you.
Yeah,
offline.
you're gonna have to send
like,
it to me.
I don't want to follow nobody else because he's doing it right.
That's awesome.
You got to understand, this is another piece of advice. And I give this away in my consultation. Sign up for it if you want to help grow your social media. Shameless plug. You got to understand that people go online for two reasons. Number one, they want to be entertained. And number two, they want to be educated.
Yes.
That's why people go online. So if you can figure out a way to tackle both of those in your niche, you're going to be good, because people get on social media, they're tired of their husband, they're tired of their wife, their girlfriend, boyfriend, kids, their boss, their job. People tired of everything, and they just want a brain break. And so they're looking for something to give them that endorphin, that feel-good feeling. And so humor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's that entertainment route. Or they're trying to figure out how to do something. Man, I've been struggling with my weight. I've been struggling with my income. I've been struggling with my relationship. They're looking for advice. They're looking for education, right? So if you can tie both of those things together to educate and entertain somebody at the same time,
right,
and just stay consistent with it. I mean, consistency is the key to success. That's the last tip I'm going to give. You do those things. Find something that you're passionate about. Don't copy nobody. Educate and entertain people and stay consistent with it. You'll be shocked at what can happen.
That's awesome.
And be authentic. Don't be nobody else.
Yes, be authentic.
Be authentic.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome. Where are we? Are we time? Where are we good?
We're at an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh.
Did we go
look
over?
At that. No, we did good. That was right over. Well, thanks for talking about all of that.
About life.
That was
That's
amazing. About life. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people got to go a little deeper beyond the layer of Traveling Foodie Guyde.
Yes, I think so. I think it'll be good, because I think a lot of people need to know who you are as a person, a human being.
I try to hide that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I like the persona of Traveling Foodie Guyde. Too many people, they want to be nosy in your business, all that. Some element when your life is a content creator, you put so much out, Algreta.
Yeah.
You put so much out.
You do.
I want to say this too, because this can be a clip.
No, this is
you.
good.
You got to retain some level of self, because when you're a content creator and you put so much out and you give so much to the world,
yes,
you got to retain something to you.
Absolutely,
to yourself.
100%.
That's super important. If I give everything to the world, what I'm gonna give myself? I can't love nobody until I love myself first. You know what I mean?
There you go. So. I love that. Yeah, because that's something that I've been really honing in on lately, and it's been good. You got to keep some of those.
That's why
things.
I keep MJ hidden. The cool thing is it creates a demand. Everybody wants to see him,
everybody
right?
wants to see MJ,
Yeah.
and I'm always like, dang it, his face is covered.
I'll show you off podcast.
Okay,
I got you.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us. We're gonna give this a wrap. Catch you next time.
Thanks for having me. All right, let me know where I can go get some of this build your own perfume and cologne.
Yes, I will.